Hey everybody, I am Captain Tommy Scoble, and you are on the lifeboat. And that cat just wants that door open, and every time she opens that door, a beam of light transacts my face perfectly. She doesn't actually want to be in the office. She doesn't even really want to be out of the office. She just wants to be somewhere in between, and that door needs to be open for her little carcass to be happy. Good morning, everybody. It is the night before Christmas. It's the day before the night before Christmas. It is Christmas Eve here on the boat. And sorry I missed this morning's lifeboat. I don't do that very often, but I was up in plenty of time. I was working. Some of you are just talented to beat hell. You really are. So we got some really, really talented people on the lifeboat, and a bunch of you decided to take a run at "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" when all through the house, right? Except you wanted to rewrite it for the lifeboat. And if you think to yourself, boy, you could really take that in a lot of funny directions. Well, they didn't. They took it really in a very serious direction. And some really wrote some beautiful, beautiful things, but they were really hard to read. And I was going to read one on the air. It floored me so bad this morning that I just got on one and couldn't stop crying, if you really want to know the truth. And I had planned on reading it on here, and as I get to the second or third stanza, I'd start weeping. And then I was like, I just got to pull myself together. And I started reading it a couple more, and I can't get through it. And then I have it right next to me from someone's email, and I was going to read it before I went live. And I told my brother, and my mom was cooking this morning and getting ready and doing Christmas stuff. We got a bunch of family in town, and he's like, yeah, let me hear what they said. And I started, and I got to like the third stanza, and I'm like, I'm not reading this thing on the air, man. I'm not going to get through it. If I could cry through it, I would do it. Like I would just cry my way through it, but I can't even get through it crying. So I'm probably going to have to cut and paste it and do stuff like that, which I'm not good at. And I'll get it put up on over on one of the platforms, or maybe I'll put it up here. Maybe I'll put it up on the lifeboat and do it in the group area. But it's heavy. You guys are good at everything you do. It's really ridiculous. Yeah, J9, that's real. Okay, that's absolutely real. This is real. This is real right there. And it's my biggest fear. I'm not kidding. It's so real. And it's my biggest fear. So as I was getting ready to go this morning, I was like, well, then I'll just go on and I'll tell them the reason why I can't go live. And I was a wreck, people. And you can't really call your therapist on Christmas Eve. It's considered really bad form to call your therapist on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or New Year's. New Year's Eve, you might be able to get away with. But of my team, this is the part of my team I can reach out to on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Maybe I'll do that, Stay Spiria. It would be cool to have it as an audio. There were several attempts made by different people. Hey, Chili Mancer, good to see you. Glad you're here and healthy. Happy birthday again. I'm really excited that Christmas is almost over, and I do love the holiday. I really do. I love this holiday. I love family coming together. It's hard. It's a hard holiday. You know, I love it. I love everything that it stands for. I really do. Amanda, you can't find it yet. I'm going to put it up. I got it today. Oh, Chili Mancer. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? Well, then I'm glad you're still here. That's scary. I work in mental health and I can't answer my phone during this break. Boundaries are important sometimes, but there are some sneak texts I do for a few. I believe that. I went and last night I went to sleep. I turned all of my equipment off. I know that there are a lot of people in place that are doing beautiful things to help people. I know that there's a lot of support for everyone. And last night I went to sleep. I got a great night's sleep. I really did. I went to sleep early. I was up early. Everything was great. And then I started calling through some Christmas messages from some really talented people. And the reason I'm not telling you who the talented people are, one of them sent it anonymously. I don't know who it is. There is a name attached to it, but I don't know who the name attaches to, right? For instance, if you saw a Chili Mancer, right? Well, Donnie is open with his name, but a lot of people aren't. So if I get something from Donnie, And I don't know who Chili Mancer and Donnie are or how they're connected. I feel really weird just coming and outing the person. The other person, I'm really aware of who wrote it. I just haven't heard back from the person. And I didn't know they had it in them either, to be really honest with you. But it's really some beautiful stuff. And airplane mode isn't just for airplanes anymore. Boy, I hear that. Well, here's the thing. Here's the deal. See, now Reese has got me saying, here's the thing. I can't have that, people. I'm known for saying, here's the deal. Here's the deal. There needs to be the ability for people to check in and have a place to get support around the clock. And there are a ton of places out there, and we list numbers and we put them everywhere. I don't necessarily have a lot of faith in some of them. Just keeping it real. It's better than nothing. To be sure, it's better than nothing. But I think that the day is coming, and it won't be too long now before there'll be a support group that's available around the clock that will be something that had been imagined by the crew of the lifeboat. And I think, no disrespect at all, there'll be amazing caseworkers in there. Every caseworker I've ever met has told me that in some way or another, or every counselor I've ever met, or every therapist I've ever met has told me that in one way or another, their hands are always tied, or they're always trying to get more done because the system that they work in, you have to go above and beyond, and you have to work not only well inside that system, but outside that system. And I would like to see this. What we're doing here is never going to take the place of therapy. It's never going to take the place of a therapist. It's never going to take the place of any of the three things that I talk about as my team all the time. You know what, Atypical Paul? I'll tell you something. This is not so far off, and it's terrifying, but it's true. So yeah, so last year we had a guy on the boat who reached out to me at about 3 a.m. Right? He did it through a messenger app that he knew he could find me on, because in the early days of the boat, like I get my messenger out to probably 70 people, 80 people. I mean, it was just a very small channel. You could do that. And so this guy reaches out at like 3:30 in the morning, and my phone jerked me awake, and I grabbed it, and he said, "I've been on hold on the suicide hotline for the better part of an hour and a half." And I just, like, my soul dropped out from underneath me. And I have a couple phones, right? Usually this exact moment I don't, but everybody should have two phones. And I had a couple of phones, and I grabbed the other one and dialed the hotline, because I thought, this guy wants to talk to me, but there's no chance that line didn't pick up. And the entire time I talked to him, that line rang, and that I was sick. I was literally sick to my stomach about it. It was horrible. Thank you so much, Kristen, for your generosity. Since finding the lifeboat, I have admitted some trauma I never resolved. Wow. Finally told my spouse this morning. I was scared, but he was supportive. And now I'm going back to therapy. Thank you, Captain Tommy et al. You know what? How cool is your husband? See the light? Wham! On the face. Thanks, squirrel. Good morning. Huh? Now I'll shut this door, and it will bother her that door is shut. Right? It doesn't matter what side of the door a cat is on. They always want to be on the other side. Come here, squirrel. Oh, no, she's settling in for some chow. Had nothing to do with me. I thought she was coming here. How cool is your husband? How cool is your husband? And how cool are you? Right? It takes a lot of courage to do what Kristen did this morning. Right? For real, especially if you're already married, right? And you're in it. And so many of us do this. There's something from our past that we just think, you know what? I can't tell this to the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. I can tell them everything else, but I can't tell them this. You know what? Well played. I mean it, Kristen. Well played. Good for you, man. Good for you. But listen, don't skip on the last sentence, right? Right? I'm going back to therapy. I'm going back to therapy. I'm going back to therapy. And everybody here, you know what this is? This is peer support, right? It is a form, right? It is a part of an entire treatment package. It really is. It is a form of treatment. It is not treatment. It is a part of an entire treatment plan. You got to be doing everything. Oh, see what happens when people communicate? See what happens when people communicate? So she goes to her husband and tells him the truth, and he says, "You know what? For the last year, I wanted to tell you, I thought you needed to get into therapy, but how do you tell your significant other that?" Well, you know what you do? You tell your significant other everything, right? You open up about everything. So so that they have no issue at all saying to you, "You know what? You probably need to get some therapy, hon. Love you. You want me to go with you? How do you want me to do this? How can we help? How can I facilitate?" When you start communicating, really wild things happen. Thank you, Rhonda. There's Rhonda, I got to share this with you because I'm going to laugh every time I read your name, and it's going to be inappropriate so many times that I have to explain this now, even if this time is inappropriate, because I'm not smiling at at your comment. But growing up, right? I'm old, and growing up, we watched Laverne and Shirley, right? This was a huge. If you're a kid that grew up in the 70s and 80s, you watched this show. This show was such a hit. And there wasn't anything else, right? I mean, you had TV, you didn't have much of anything else. So everybody watched the show. It was a hit, right? Laverne and Shirley was huge. But there was every time two of the neighbors would see an attractive girl, it went on for about 4 episodes. Every time they would see somebody attractive, they would go, Rhonda. And it got carried on in my household for probably 3 or 4 years after the show ended. So to this day, it's just one of those names that we kind of giggle when we say. So I'm not laughing at you. I'm smiling because it really just was one of those things we said a lot. My dad used to, everybody said it. It was just a thing that everybody said for a while, if you're really old. And I have a really different kind of memory for whatever reason. And no one else seems to remember all the things I laugh at, but I certainly do. Let's see. Kristen, go hide. You're good. Loved Laverne and Shirley. Wasn't it a great? How great a show is that? How great a show was Laverne and Shirley? Oh, you know what? Your favorite episode was when they did the Pancake House. I don't know that I can run with that. Yes, their neighbors were Lenny and Squiggy, and they started the Rhonda thing for the record. I remember the things you laugh at, Jen. I believe you do. A lot of people. Oh, you are 46. Well, your picture doesn't look 46. I'm sorry. You probably do get it. It's Lenny and Squiggy's fault. Thank you. Thank you. See, he gets it. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's Lenny and Squiggy's fault. Do you know you can watch those old shows? All the time I bring this up and people go, "Oh, I missed that stuff." I can't watch anything new. All of the new stuff, it got really cool to make television shows like movies. So they film with 25 camera angles and things like that, right? But the old shows filmed with one camera. So I watch those old shows all the time. It's the only thing I can watch. I can't watch anything else. How cool is that? How cool is that? I asked my husband, right? I wanted the both of us to go to therapy before we got married to help us be successful. And he said, "I always wanted to go to therapy." And at that point, you know you got to keep her, right? Yeah. And if he reacts the exact opposite way, then they just have been misinformed about what therapy is for their entire life. People who are afraid of therapy don't understand um, just how important therapy is. Oh, Amanda, let me help you out, hon. You and everybody else on planet Earth who is watching the lifeboat. Okay, so you're going to come across a couple of old television shows, right? That still have bulletproof syndication stuff, and it's because of the popularity of the show, or it was real early in syndication, like uh, um, Gilligan's Island. Gilligan's Island was one of the first really great deals for actors in syndication. You can't watch Gilligan's Island unless you're paying for it. It's going to be that way probably till the end of time. It always ends up on certain streaming services, but you're paying for the streaming services. You just can't watch them for free. But if you are on YouTube and you say Laverne and Shirley on YouTube, or you say Welcome Back Hotter on YouTube, or you say any old show followed by on YouTube, right? Or type it out, YouTube will give you all that. It's all out there. I watch Laverne and Shirley on YouTube. I watch Happy Days on YouTube. Anything I watch it on YouTube. True story. You don't need any of those services. Somewhere there's somebody out there putting it up and have figured out a way to make money showing the content, right? So there's a bunch of people out there that are putting it up on YouTube. Not sure how that works. I just like watching it. And it's one camera, right? It's like watching a cartoon. When I watch things that go like this and jump from camera angle to camera angle, it's like crying. My head's gonna go. My son has his friend's picture. Hold on. Part one. Walmart yesterday, cashier. Do you have plans for the holidays? Me? No, not really. Mostly by myself, going to a friend's house for a few hours, right? Part two. Me alone. At least I have a duck. Oh, you have a pet duck? So cute. I have a pet cactus. Cashier. No, ma'am. I'm cooking a duck in the oven. I got to put this up so that the people that watch this on the replay crew get this. All right. Everybody watch this. Story time. Part one, me, 1 of 2. Everybody get that? This is actually really funny, Dixie. So the clerk thinks that she has spending the holiday alone. And the miscommunication happens. That's really funny. Martha, I'm not at all surprised that you're 35 years together. Honestly, with the start that you got, how could you not be? You know what, people? I believe this. If two people get together and stare at each other in the eyes and they say, you know what, nothing's going to end this. We'll go to counseling. We will sign up right now to do whatever it takes. And communication is alive. When communication goes, it's over. But if you're talking, then you can go to a therapist, you can go to a counselor, you can go to all of the above, peer support groups, whatever. But guess what? Like this is relationship 101. So pay attention. Guys, guys for whatever reason figure that I'm going to have answers. I don't necessarily have answers, but guys reach out to me all the time about relationships, right? Because I started a drug channel. There are a lot of people who think I understand relationships better than I do. I understand drugs. I understand addiction, right? I understand the things I understand well. But it seems to me kind of basic because I've fallen in love many times. And when I did, I tried to sell myself as much as possible, right? You do everything you can to put your best foot forward. So you probably dress a little bit differently, right? You're never going to be late. You show up on time all the time and maybe bring a rose when you come, right? Or at least every third or fourth date, right? Maybe you swing by with a flower because it's just so damn sweet, right? And then the second that this girl says, yeah, I love you, you stop everything that she said that she loved, right? I mean, she fell in love with a salesman and then you become the dude that just quit his job. Right. And are no longer selling anything. That's sad, but that's true. So when people say, the spark's gone, I'd say, all right, do what you did for the first 2 months you met her. Fire that back up. Bring home some roses every couple of days. Maybe write a poem. Remember all of that crap? Give that a try. And if the other person does the same thing, you might find yourself 36 years or 35 years later exploring the inner space. Right? People, communication is the universal solvent. No, this was Lafayette. Do I actually have to give credit to Lafayette, Ron Hubbard, for this? Where's Johnny Scoville when I need him? I'm using an LRH quote. Am I allowed to do this? I'm not sure I'm comfortable with this. Johnny, get in here. Talk to me. Read this. Communication is the universal solvent. Solid, right? Until you get to that whole Lafayette, Con Hubbard. What do you think?
How are you going to field it?
I don't know, man. We could change a word or two. Communication is the universal solvent. Or we could just put like an addendum to it, a second part, right? And LRH had breath like a goat and a really rugged grill. We could put that to the end of the sentence.
I couldn't have fixed the grill.
Oh, wait. Good point. But LRH certainly stole it from someone else. So we'll just find out where he got it. Not a bad point. Not a bad point. Or we could just keep the tradition going. And I could say, you know what Tommy Scoville said? No one would buy that. I'll quote Johnny. Right?
That's how it's done.
Yeah, because I don't really like Johnny. And everyone's going to think there's no way he'd give Johnny credit for something like that if he could take credit for it himself. Right? Yeah. So it's like Johnny Scoville said, communication is the universal solvent. How about this one? Amanda, do you know what the universal solvent is? Communication. We'll just frame it differently, right? I've watched elected officials get away with that. I really have. You can just reframe that thing and put the words in a different order. Zenu said it. Chili Mancer, well played. Well played. You know what, Martha? I think Martha makes the point of the day, right? LRH destroyed relationships. He's not an authority, right? Especially on communication. He's just an authoritarian. Communication is key. Make no mistake, people. You know what? Honest to God, if there are parts of me that wish that I could start the boat all over again, honestly. And one of the reasons is the longer I do this, the more I realize that my message isn't for drug addicts as much as it's for the entire world, right? And the connection thing is absolutely huge. And the connection thing and the communication thing, right? I mean, if they're not the same thing, they're sure as hell kissing cousins, right? I mean, they're definitely in league. If they're not the exact same freaking thing, they're in league with one another. You know what? Have you ever been sitting on a secret that's literally like festers with you? You know what I mean? Like, have you ever been sitting on a secret that can make you just go sort of hum a little bit when no one's around? I'm sitting on one of those secrets. I am, man. I'm sitting on one of those secrets. Oh, no way. Hold on a second. People, you have to put up with this. This is dead air, but this is so important. Oh, wow. Sorry. Okay. So you guys know if you're in SPTV, you saw Aaron's post this morning, right? Aaron's taking a couple of days off, right, for Christmas. Good for him, man. Good for him. Spending time with his family. And what you should do. He just did a big interview. You guys know this, right? I've known that interview is coming for a really long time. And I know who that interview is with. And it's been driving me nuts. I've been wanting to, like, honestly, you ever have a friend achieve something or do something and it's like you're so damn happy about it, it's like you did it? I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but somebody else's accomplishment is just such an exciting thing that you get a buzz off it. Well, this is a big one. And this is a big one. And I have been so happy about it for so long. Yeah, this is such a big one, people. And as I'm bragging about it and telling you ever have one of those things? He texts me. That's why I stopped, because I literally got a text from him. While I am not fielding questions of any kind, I will not take your speculation. And I will not even read the comments now at this point, because I am putting a poker face on. And I'm not even going to read names, because perhaps I will come across something. But suffice to say, this one is just really, really cool. And it's really, really exciting. I will take lots of hugs and lots of love. The squirrel nut. Squirrel is a big holiday kitty. We got her in July, and she was really sort of just coming into her own as a kitty cat when the first Christmas came, right? And no, I take that back. She was born in July. We got her the first Christmas, but the Christmas tree thing is a big thing for Squirrel. And each year she's climbed in it and sort of made a little place to perch so that she could look out. I have a very, very large artificial tree that does not look artificial. It's huge, but it's so Squirrel's now too big to climb inside the artificial tree and perch up to look out. However, she's not aware of this fact. And yesterday, I saved all of Christmas by just happening to walk by as a squirrel nut had this thing doing the. I mean, it could have been all bad. As it was, a bunch of ornaments had to be put back onto the tree. She may look very innocent. Do not let this cat fool you. I love her. I mean, she's my girl. She really is absolutely my favorite thing in the world, but she is not the and she never makes any sound when she's on the lifeboat, right? You guys don't hear squirrel. So you probably assume that she's just this. If you've ever talked to me on the phone, right, when I'm not on the lifeboat, everybody goes, "Oh, wow, is that squirrel in the background?" Then I'll go, "Oh yeah, hold on, you'll hear her." Because squirrel does not stop talking all day. The only time that cat isn't talking is when I'm doing the lifeboat. For real, I'm not kidding. She's the most vocal pussycat in the entire world. But my voice, when I'm talking, apparently puts her to sleep because she just curls up in the basket and tucks her tail around her face. She's such a good kitty. I've been blessed something fierce. She's the Christmas gift that keeps on coming. He said it was a person with 10 times the platform of Lex Friedman. Did he say that? Wow. That might be true. I don't know if that's true. Lex Friedman's got a pretty strong platform. He really does. And I like watching Lex Friedman. I really do. I think that there are people that you either like Lex's delivery or you don't. I really dig Lex's delivery. You know the thing with Rogan, I just don't see. This is maybe cruel. I don't think. Number one, I don't think Rogan's a great platform necessarily for AA run. Honestly, I have a hard time wrapping my dome around Rogan. I really do. Because I enjoy watching Joe Rogan, but I don't watch Joe Rogan unless the subject matter draws me in viciously. I don't watch the Joe Rogan show. I would not go and just catch every episode of the Joe Rogan show. It's not really my I don't know. It's not he puts some stuff on that I love. And when it's on, I like how it's presented more often than not. And I shouldn't say I like the way it's presented. I don't like the way it's presented. I think that they usually come at things from every angle. I think that that's pretty real. You're not getting a hard left or a hard right kind of a thing with him. And the fact that both sides of the aisle hate him and accuse him of being either a left wing or a right wing guy usually means that you're doing something right. But the delivery and the packaging and everything else of the message isn't really I don't know. Maybe there's more fraternity to it. Like you look at Lex Friedman or someone like Lex Friedman, and it's more cerebral than it is fraternity. And it's not that Rogan's not intelligent, because I think Rogan's a very, very smart guy. He didn't get to where he is by not being bright, and he's the king. I mean, I'm a guy with 218 people in my live chat, right, talking trash about Joe Rogan. But you understand what I'm saying? I'm a tough guy to entertain. I do watch Lex Friedman. I dig Lex Friedman. I watch him all the time. And there's a couple of other really big thinkers out there that do shows that I think I consider them thinkers. If you watch somebody and you find yourself backing up to listen to what they just said because the things that they articulate, they do in such a way that maybe you're listening to something you've heard 500 times and hearing it for the first time. Does that make sense? Right? They have a way of repackaging things. Trevor Noah. A lot of people dig Trevor Noah. A lot of people do. I don't watch anything. That to me is I try to get my stuff from news feeds, right? If anything like that, if I feel like anybody leans in a direction, I want to see everything on a news feed before I get to it, because it's very difficult to listen to a story that's told to you by somebody who happens to be a Democrat or a Republican and not sort of take some of that away in the story. Yeah? You follow what I'm saying? You gotta take a part of that away. Give me a wink if it's Theo. I'll tell you what, there are a lot of shows that I watch that, you know what scares me about shows like The Daily Show? I'll tell you what scares the crap out of me about shows like The Daily Show. I used to watch it way back, right? When The Daily Show first came on back in the day and Jon Stewart was on. It was astounding because nothing like that really had come on before it. There had been little bit stuffs and things, but never with the sort of the scope and the dedication and the team like that. He had a crew about that would rival, a crew at CNN, right? So, but what was really unique is because this was the first time that anybody was going to be doing this the way that they were doing it. Everybody talked about it. News programs were reporting on what Jon Stewart was doing and what the Daily Show was doing and all of this. And it was astounding how many people had no idea that this was not regular news. Even funnier was when, who's the guy that has the show, the late night show now? Colbert. When Colbert used to do his shtick and he was playing the right wing guy, the number of people who had no idea it was shtick, right? The number of people who watched that. And that makes it funny as hell, does it not? Until you realize that if they believe that, that's how they're getting their news, right? And that's terrifying. That's terrifying. If you're believing that they're putting you on like that, but you're believing it, then good God, I don't want you getting your news that way or voting, right? I mean, it's frightening to me. It's funny if you're doing it, it's funny, but squirrel can do no wrong. Squirrel doesn't do wrong in my eyes. That's why this feline has never been disciplined. That, and I don't really know how you discipline a cat anyway. Although if I look at her with a really stern look, like I'm bummed out, she always kind of, does one of these. But this of all, I've had a lot of cats, and I've never had a cat I didn't think was perfect, right? That's just kind of, but this cat is so different than every other cat I've ever had. I'll be walking through the house, and the cat will appear on my shoulder, right? And she's too big to really be a shoulder kitty. She's not a big cat, but she's big to be a shoulder kitty. And I mean, I have big shoulders. I'm wide, but this cat will launch herself on me from just about wherever and never seems to have to hook me. Right? She's very graceful, but she likes to get onto the highest things in the house. So when the cat jumps on me, I kid you not, right? So I'll stick my arm out like this and sort of rest it against my body, and she'll just sort of chill out on the arm, and then I follow her head. So if she turns her head this way, I kind of walk that way. If she turns her head that way, I walk that way. And she'll kind of guide me over to whatever she wants to be on top of, and I'll let her get on it. And then when she wants to get down, she gives this pathetic little chirp, and either myself or Johnny will go over and sort of stand so that she can jump down onto your back and then onto the floor. I actually have some video of it. It's pretty funny stuff. She is a very, very unique animal. She really is a unique animal and has been from the very first day I got her. So I have brought many cats home from shelters. I have saved, I don't know how many cats in my life, right? But when I showed up at the shelter where Squirrel was at, and I went in there, there were in the room I was in, there were 3 cages. There was only 3 cats in there, and 2 had to have been relatives, but for whatever reason, they were on either sides of Squirrel because they looked almost identical, and they were the perfect kitty that you see on every single card you have ever seen, right? Like the perfect picture card kitty. 3 colors, perfect symmetrical markings. They were just gorgeous. And Squirrel was in there and playing with this little orange mouse, which, by the way, she still has, but at that point, it was about a quarter of her size. And when I put all I could get in because of how fat my fingers were a couple of fingers into the cage, but I jammed them in sideways. And I promise you, this cat came over and dropped on top of my fingers. Like she just came and laid down on top of them and looked up at me. And when the woman said, "You sure you don't want us to take her out of the cage so you can check her out?" I said, "Sure." And when she got out of the cage, I put my hand down like this, and she ran up my shoulder and got like behind me here, had a coat on, and she just grabbed. And as the woman tried to get her, she was going behind my head. Like she did not want, she just woke up like a nightmare. "It's all right. You're home." She was dreaming about it, I think. She does sleep with me every night, except in the dead of summer here. You can't find Squirrel anywhere near you at night because she wants to be on the floor. We're in Tucson, so in the summer she wants to sleep on the like the slate floor, but at night, no, she's in my bed every night. And sadly, Squirrel likes to park either directly behind your knee, right, or underneath your armpit, or directly against your neck. Any of those three places will instantly cause you to start sweating. So I have to sleep with about half my body out because of Squirrel, but it works out. Connie, 5 days, Connie. Good stuff, and courageous as hell. You know what a Christmas present that is tomorrow? Congratulations. Please keep it up, Connie. Connie. I do, by the way. I do. Do you like Gabor? I don't know how you say that name, but I have watched a hell of a lot of his stuff. Yes, he's another one. Yeah, you're right. He says stuff in a new way. He will repackage things and make you understand them in a different way. Absolutely. I think absolutely. However, he will also bring you some theories that you've probably never heard before. He's a really deep thinker. Who's and then you'll catch controversy when you say this name, Jordan Peterson. A lot of people, you either love or hate Jordan Peterson. But he's another one that is a thinker. Competitive dancer? Who's a competitive dancer? Yes, she does go to the warmest parts on me. And you know what's funny is we're in Jennifer says, I love Jordan. Wow. You know what? It's a 50-50. You either love him or you hate him. And I think that what's really odd is if you hate him, you might want to go back and listen to him again. I'm not kidding, right? He's a guy that has evolved over the time that I've watched him. He was a very, very sort of staunch atheist, right? He was a guy that did not believe in an afterlife or in a creator, and has now decided that he absolutely believes in an afterlife and absolutely believes in a creator and knows who the creator is and has become quite a spiritual human being. That to me is impressive. In either direction, I find that remarkable, that the courage that it takes for a person to stand up and say, I was wrong. And it's hard, especially if you record everything you say. You watch the early days of me doing this show. What I thought about addiction has changed dramatically. I mean, dramatically. When I started this show, the concept of the opposite of addiction being connection is something that I had read years earlier. In fact, he's a big fan of saying that as well. I don't know that I got it from him. I don't know that he got it from him, but he is also a huge fan of saying that. But I have done a 180 on so many things. I used to come out and say, safe injection sites, what the hell is the matter with us? We're gonna tap out on this. We're just gonna give up. That's what we're gonna do. And now, you know what? I think we should have safe injection sites. And I don't think it's tapping out. I don't. I think it's saving lives. But it's hard to come out and say I was wrong. It really is. It's hard to come out and say I was wrong to three friends. But I have mad respect for the guy for coming out and saying I was wrong to the entire world. You know, that's a hard thing to do. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You know what, though? I know that a lot of people roll their eyes at rehab in general, in recovery in general. It's not a fun subject, is it? It'd be a lot more fun to talk about doing beer funnels, wouldn't it? Come on, let's talk about doing lines, right? No one wants to talk about making themselves better. No one wants to talk about that. Do you know why? Because that's not what they hear. What they hear is this. Like if I show up and I go, hey, how you doing? I'm Tommy. And I got out of prison 3 years ago. And since then, Let me tell you what I've done, right? And that list going from, from being in a halfway house to, to the journey that has led me where I am today, right? And the people I work with and whatever. What they hear is, what are you doing with your life? Are you still using? Are you addicted? Right? They don't hear anything I'm saying. When you talk to somebody and you tell them you're in recovery, what they hear is, you're a drug addict and you should be in recovery too. Hell, we got high together all the time, didn't we? We were always partying. How the hell is it you're not in recovery? It's like putting up a huge mirror to everybody around you. And you can say, well, so-and-so doesn't even drink. No, but are they working on themselves? Because I promise you, the average American doesn't. You may not believe that, especially because of the billions of books that are sold on self-help, right? But you realize most self-help books aren't even self-help books. Go read the titles of a lot of them, right? You're perfect exactly how you are, right? That's an industry. It's an industry to tell people that they don't need to change and that they're perfect exactly how you are. I'll tell you what, you have to tell yourself if you're perfect exactly how you are, okay? I've never met anybody perfect exactly how they are. Ever. Nobody's perfect the way they are. Everybody needs to improve. I'm sorry. Now, that said, I think that the message should be, you know what? You were born, right? The potential for perfect is right there. Sadly, we let the world get involved. And I don't mean what you look like and all that garbage. I'm talking about being beautiful, right? Choosing to be a beautiful human being every day. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to one and all. Thank you, Tommy, for this gift of connection today. Thank you, LJ. I'm glad you're here. I really am. Hey, look, how do you say the guy's first name? Somebody phonetically spell out his name, please. I don't want to sound stupid. I read Dale Carnegie, Earl Nightingale, Dr. Wayne W. Tyre, and Tony Robbins. I've studied all of them, Chili Mancer, every one of them. You should probably put Zig Ziglar in there because you'd love it, because that's right in that crowd. And half of them learned everything they knew from Zig Ziglar. Zig was a beast. One of the absolute great public speakers of all time. One of the first motivational gigs to ever come down the pike, and everybody in one way or another copied him. Tony Robbins, I've done Mastery University. I've done the Fire Walk. I did everything with Tony back in the day, everything. And when I showed up for the very first one, I was sent there by a boss, and me and my friend on the way in said, we're not buying into any of the BS. We're not doing the ether thing. This is what we do for a living, right? This is what we do. So we're not falling for this because it's shtick. There's nothing to it. We know this, right? He said, yeah, I kid you not, right? At the time, I was wearing a really gorgeous Rolex Day. And what's his name? Tony Robbins happened to be wearing the same one. It was a rose gold. It's a gorgeous watch. But I remember looking down at the watch because it started at 1:00 in the afternoon. And I looked down at the watch and it was like 25 minutes after the hour. And we had front row seats. So because we were guests. So we're in front of the front row and we're jumping up and down, and the cannons are going off with all of the confetti and everything else. And I looked down at my watch and I said, boy, that didn't take long. And he goes, he's good. He's really, really good. And Robbins is incredible, but he's got a lot to back him up. It's not just shtick, for real. Like that guy, how he did it is kind of incredible, because he was telling people he had the answers when he was making the answers up, which is awesome, because I think a lot of them panned out. But then he got enough money, right, to start the Robbins Institute and do all of the things that he's done to actually study a lot of the things that he talks about. And now he's got a lot of science to back it up. And a lot of people who went to school for a really long time. I did the Fire Walk without exaggeration, D-man, half a dozen times. I did it with him a bunch. I did it in LA 3 times. And then he does that's part of Mastery University as well. You do the Fire Walk there. A lot less people. Mastery University has got a very, very small crew because it's very expensive. But and that was paid for by my boss. He sent all the speakers there. It was a really good time. And then the speakers who were working Mastery University were like Deepak Chopra and Oprah Winfrey. And like, there were a lot of really big names that work at that. But the walking across the fire thing is really, really cool. It really is and of course, what you're doing is it's symbolism, right? Laura, your birth siblings are out of state, it sucks. I have spent many Christmases alone, right? 13 of them. And I brought it on myself, right? I'm not blaming the United States of America for incarcerating me. I did what I did. But I spent 13 Christmases where if I was going to hear the voice of a loved one, it was going to be on the telephone. It was going to be for 15 minutes. And there was going to be somebody telling them that I was in prison every 4 minutes, right? On a recorded call. So it's hard calling home. And everybody in there wants to call home on Christmas Day. So I usually would pick a time that no one else would, right? Like the times that you don't want to call right in the middle of dinner or whatever. And they would just do a quick, hey, Merry Christmas, I love you. But I would hang up the phone and I remember just the crushing, the soul crushing feeling of being alone. And I remember during the whole process, I'm reading this stuff. I'm writing down the opposite of addiction is connection in my journal, right? I mean, I'm not exaggerating, people. I read 600 books, 700 books on recovery, right? This is all I did. I had 8 years to do this. This is all I did. And as much as I'm studying connection and what happens when you withdraw from society and why addiction makes us withdraw and what happens when you hold everything inside and you don't share it with anybody and how it destroys you. And as I'm journaling all this crap, I'm doing it, right? I'm dead center in the middle of everything that I'm reading and journaling about, right in the middle of it. And there was a youngster who lived next door to me who was the same age as Spanx Calhoun, right? And I didn't realize this at the time, by the way, because I don't know. I hadn't seen my son in 5 or 6 years. I've been in prison, and this kid just seemed older. Maybe it was because he was in prison, but had a great sense of humor. He was a bank robber, never done anything wrong in his life, and just seemingly out of the blue one day, he said that his logic was unbelievable. He said to me, "Well, I couldn't pay my rent, and I couldn't pay my car payment." He said, "And I knew I was going to get evicted. And they were going to take my car." He said, "And I didn't really have a home to go home to." With his parents, it was something up, and he never really got into the details with that. But he said, I couldn't really go home. So I just thought to myself, well, I'll just go rob a bank. If I get caught, I got a place to go. And he raps. He's a white kid, but he writes pretty amazing lyrics, and he's got a great voice. And he said, no, I'll just go in there and get some street cred. I said, this really was going through your head on the street? He said, yeah, it really was. But he came by like 3 days before Christmas, and he said, hey, man, swing by my cell real quick. I said, all right. And I went in and he had newspaper on the floor and he was wrapping Christmas gifts. And I said, what is this? He's like, I'm wrapping up Christmas gifts. Did you get anybody anything? And I was like, no, I haven't gone shopping yet. And I said, what are you getting people? And it was silly stuff, but it was a Christmas. And by the end of the day, the two of us had gone so bat crap crazy. You have no idea, right? We got paper and did the entire backside of his cell wall in paper. And then guys came in and drew a fireplace with a hearth and logs and a fire and the whole deal, and drew it perfectly. Like it was a really nice little setup. And they had made stockings, right, and stuffed them, and they were really just doing it. And we have MP3 players. Well, he had downloaded a crap load of Christmas music, and you build speakers. You take headphones and you literally build speaker boxes. It's a hustle for guys in there. And he built big speaker boxes and we played Christmas tunes. And I found myself wanting to go find some gifts that I could wrap up for a couple of people. Not a bunch. He did it for a bunch. But I was going to do one for him and one for one other guy that I got along with in there. His name was Rev. And it was a ripple that you could watch in real time. What this dude did, putting that stuff on the back wall, got a whole room full of some really awful human beings, truthfully. A lot of them really bad people. But it got even the worst of them to maybe be a little bit nicer. And the ones that really had a shot at maybe making it in the real world got into it, right? Guys were figuring out ways. They were making tinsel out of empty potato chip bags, right, with a razor blade, cutting these things into strips. And it really became a thing. And when the guys started seeing what was going on, well, we had one of the only yards in the BOP where you could actually walk up to a tree on the yard, which is really odd, right? There aren't trees anywhere, but they also had a little duck pond and a lot of other things. But everybody started to go out and grab like little boughs off of trees. And by about 6 o'clock that night, now this is a couple of days before Christmas, but by dinner that night, the unit smelled like pine. And it was absolutely amazing to see what could happen. And it was one kid that just said, I'm not going to have a crap Christmas, man. Right? I'm not going to have a crap Christmas. I'm going to turn this into something. And if you want to laugh at me or you want to do whatever, I'm just putting it out there. I'm doing it. And, the end of this story, it should have ended better, but I think I've told the end of this story before. And a guy came up to me that owed me money forever and said, hey, how about I pay you in this? And he gave me dabs, right? And dabs are a concentrated form of THC, right? Really vicious, concentrated form of THC. And the little next door neighbor kid said, oh, no, do you have any idea what that ball's worth? He goes, in here, that's worth $700 or $800. I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. So I went back to the guy and said, I'll take it. Then I went back and saw the kid and said, all right, what can we trade this for? Let's get some food. Let's get some. And I'm just making the party bigger. And I gave it to him, said, you do the selling. Just bring me the money. He said, all right. So he did. And then at the very end, he comes back and he's got a little chunk, maybe the third of the size of a pencil eraser. And he's like, I saved this for us. I was like, oh, I don't do it, dude. I don't do, I don't smoke weed. I said, I haven't smoked in a really long time. It's too strong at this point. He's like, oh, come on, just to do it. Just take one hit. People, I've never been so high on anything in my life. Like that weed was ridiculous. And he didn't have fun, right? And he was a pot smoker. Like the two of us sat in his room going, what the hell did we just smoke? Oh, it was terrible. But we got a laugh out of it when it was over. We couldn't go to dinner. We couldn't do anything. We cowered in our cell for hours. But at least our cell looked like Christmas. And then, but just to give you an idea, right, of the ripples. The day after Christmas, we were going to leave that thing up through January 1. And the day after Christmas, one of the guards who was just a dick came in and tossed his entire cell and ripped the crap off the wall and everything else. Just to be a dick, right? No other reason on earth. And I'm a guy that keeps his mouth shut, people. I really do. I swear to you, when I'm locked up, I can follow the rules. I really do. But I walked into the guy's office. I said, you know what, dude? I said, this is my last year in prison, right? I said, I'm going home and this year it's over. What was that about? What was taking that down for? Seriously. He's like, there are rules about putting stuff up. I said, there are, man. There are rules. And I've never done a Christmas where somebody didn't kill themselves, right? You're a better guy for enforcing that. I said, you're just a dick. But you know what you got to do if you're careful in the feds? What you got to say is, you know what, in my opinion, bro, because you can get away with it straight up. It's been litigated. So you just go, you know what, man, in my opinion, that was a dick move. In my opinion, you're a dick, right? In my opinion, that's not what you do on Christmas. You're a dick. And yeah, I felt better from it. I really did. And the kid was devastated. I mean, it may seem really insignificant, and it is, but it's not, it's just not. But no, nothing was done to rehabilitate me in prison by anybody other than a black guy named Q. And 2 seconds before I went live today, I had my 5 minutes before I went live, I had my my iPad here, and I had the poems that had been written about the night before Christmas that you guys wrote. Some of you wrote. And I was just starting. I was like girding up because I was going to try to read it. And the phone rings, and it's a unavailable number, and I pick it up, and it's Q. But it's not you have a collect call from or you have a prepaid call from. It was just Q, which means that he's working, and he's working overtime. And I said, hey, are you going to be able to call me back? Because I will talk to you right now if you can't call me back. And he said, no, I'll be able to call you back. Are you just trying to put the cat puts the light right in my eye? You see this? Sorry. When that door opens. No, it's funny as heck. Actually, look. Hey, Brian in Arkansas, do me a favor. Reach out to me right now at sober@myyahoo.com. And yes, I talked to Q real briefly. Awesome. Awesome Swiss vape. All right, now everybody listen up, okay? It's the holidays. I love you people, every last one of you, okay? Every last one of you. What makes this place unique is how big the hearts are of every single person on this boat, and you understand. It also makes us the biggest targets on planet Earth. Maybe the most legitimate man on Earth. And it also could be a guy that isn't. Sorry, but it's a fact. And it is something I got to deal with on this boat every day. So if you ever see somebody asking for help in the comment section and you see the comment removed, it's because we become a billboard for people who show up and say, I need help. You understand? We become a billboard for people who, unfortunately, the lowest common denominator finds the lifeboat, right? And I'll tell the story, and I'll tell the story by the guy's name, right? You want to know the name, reach out to me. But we had a guy on the boat that many people helped. In his name of his avatar was the word homeless, right? And there were so many people on the boat whose hearts are bigger than anyone else's. What makes us unique as addicts and recovering addicts is that we damage everything, but our heart grows through that process. I'm not sure how it works, but it's a fact. And recovered addicts are the most generous people on earth to a fault. And this guy got a lot of money from a lot of people, but he wasn't homeless. In fact, he had a very nice car he could have been sleeping in. And that very nice car was parked in a very nice garage at a very nice house on a large piece of land. And that's horrific. And Virginia says, I remember him. I helped him. So I'm not being a jerk. Hey, Vape, I love you, man. I love you. 1 year. Unbelievable stuff. Thank you. And Virginia, a lot of people helped him because we're kind people. So if I come here and say what I just said, do you know how much of a jerk I feel like saying that? Every time I say, please, people, don't help somebody until you reach out and talk to people on the boat. Because look, we had a guy that I've been very open and honest about it. I've already gotten burned, right? I've been burned multiple times doing what I do. The most recent one, a guy took out a name on one of those platforms that you wire cash to. I won't say the name of it, but he took out a name so that I was wiring money to the same account I always wire money to. Every time I get someone into medical assisted treatment, I pay the service itself, the doctor's office. I wired it to that same one, but it wasn't him. It was a con artist who got a account under the almost exact same name. So it happens. But I just want you to know that if I sound like a jackass or I say something that doesn't sound loving, it's because I love all of you. If there's somebody on this boat that's hurting and needs help, we'll get them help. But don't do it without talking to us, because sometimes people were targets. You know, there have been many, many people that I have tried to help. And when the time comes to actually help them and get to the finish line, I find out they're in Nigeria. And that's unfortunate, right? It really is. It's not going to stop me doing what I'm doing. It's not, it isn't going to slow me down doing what I'm doing, but it makes me aware. And I signed up for this, right? So if I get stung every once in a while, it is what it is. I don't want any of you getting stung. Don't help people, right? Because you think you're doing the right thing, because very often you're not. I'm sorry. I know I sound like a jackass. What a great message on Christmas, huh? For real, what a great message on the day before Christmas. Don't help people that ask for help because they might be trying to get over on you. Isn't that a world? Not the world we live in. Holy hell. Yeah. It makes me really sad, Jen. It really does. It makes me really, really sad. I just miss somebody. Swiss, thank you, man. I really appreciate you. More folks in green. Swiss Vape did it again. Yeah, if it looks like, no, I just took one down and put up another one. Thank you, Swiss Vape. Swiss Vapor, stop it. Once again, thank you, Vape. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, because I feel like an ass. I really do. I feel like an ass. Will I go live tomorrow? Come on. Seriously. Hey, Virginia, when you did what you did, we didn't know any better, hon. Virginia's been around forever. When you say I should have asked first, well, we didn't know much of a policy then, did we, love? Right? We've been learning as we go, Virginia. You've been around forever. Don't beat yourself up on that. People, I've been ripped off more than any of you. I promise. I have. Part of what we do here. But I've certainly got a lot more careful. And these days, you know, what we do is we find the people. The people that find us tend not to be, doesn't usually work out as well. We go and find people, and it's usually, we never, by the way, You will, on several occasions, people in the lifeboat have said in the comment section, I'm one of the people that that the lifeboat helped get into medical assisted treatment. Not only will we take that down, but we will remove a person, right? One of the deals, and if you've ever been helped by the lifeboat, one of the things that we say is, you're not allowed to do that. And the reason is not because I'm trying to make the lifeboat sound like we're the nicest people in the world, or that we're the most humble people in the world. But I don't want to turn the lifeboat into an entire, organization of 4,000 people who show up and say, hey, Tommy, I need help right now on this. Not what we do. So our help, but I will tell you that a couple of days ago, the lifeboat was able to do some groceries for a crew member that was just not going to eat during Christmas. And that's sort of how it went down. And this person didn't reach out. This person just happened to be in another chat having a conversation, and somebody overheard it, and it got back to the boat, and your memberships and your donations and things like that really quietly made this a very Merry Christmas for somebody who just found enough money in their account to go and go shopping. And it's little things, but we really got to be careful with how we do what we do, because as Martha said, this is the most dangerous thing in the world for us. It's the most dangerous thing in the world for us. We've done shows on what's the difference, right? Here's the difference. People used to say, before you don't just start robbing banks, right? Or just become a thief. There's a period of time between, I'm still a good human being and the drugs have got me so bad that I just don't care. And I remember getting help, saying to people, I'm without work, and they would come and buy groceries, right, to help you out. They'd buy me $300 worth of groceries for me and the family. And when their tail lights left the driveway, I would grab the receipt in that bag. I would take the groceries back and I would return them and say, you know what, we were doing this for somebody as a charity and someone else already did it. And we got a double order of this. And I would just bring back all of that money and get the $300 and go buy dope with it, because I needed the dope more than I needed the food. They weren't helping, they were enabling. Now, if they had done that, shredded the grocery receipt and said, I'm well aware of the fact that you're going to trade this for dope, so I'm going to come by tomorrow and see if it's all here, right? I'm going to be here 3 or 4 times a week until you get your you-know-what together. It's very easy for us to sometimes go, yeah, I know they're struggling with addiction or whatever, and I went and I bought them some groceries, and you know what? That's great. People need to eat. They also need you right there. Remember that we are sick, not in our right minds, when we are untreated. And boy, is that just a fact. Thank you so much, Vape. He says, Captain, oh, Captain, without you, I've been death by now. The support here is better than ever experienced. Love you all. Stay sober and stable. You know what, Vape? You are a walking miracle. You really are. I've said a million times that getting sober, it takes a miracle. Every single sober person requires a miracle. Swiss Vape got sober off of everything. If you've never seen the interviews I've done with Vape, go back and watch our interviews. This is a guy that drank, gallons, literally. He wasn't measuring his booze by drinking a 4-pack. This guy was drinking stuff by the gallon and a half gallon. And on top of that, there were benzos and pain meds. And he also had really, really heavy PTSD that he's been very open about. This man served in combat. It's a miracle. It really is. And one of the greatest clips of film in all of recovery, right? One of the greatest moments, certainly in the lifeboat, was watching him, and it was a couple of days earlier, we had been talking about how 2 thoughts couldn't take up the same place at the same time. And he phoned in saying, I'm in a really bad place. And you could hear it. Everybody could hear it. And as he was talking about just life kind of falling apart, sort of, and the emotions that are attached to that. And I've gotten a lot of people who reached out, and even a year later, they see it, and I get an email that says, boy, oh boy, you were doing just what you were talking about. You changed what was in his head. I just was asking a question, but I said to him, so, hey, how's that little princess of yours? And it was a light switch. That dude that was just in the darkest and went, oh, right. And the voice changed. And all of a sudden It was one of the most beautiful moments that I experienced since doing this, watching what his girl meant to him in real time. And I know that someday, right? Someday when that girl is 16, 17, 18, she's going to be able to go back and literally watch in real time the power that her dad's love had, for real. That just the thought of his girl, what it did to him. I know that feeling. That's been me, man, for real. If you're, I'm a divorced dad. I was and was separated from my kids for a long time, but I get that. Like if I'm having a bad spot in my head, like I got automatic negative thoughts I need to get rid of. If I put my kids in there, like I start thinking about my kids, it's the easiest thing in the world to put a smile on my face, especially currently. I mean, I've never been more proud, of anything, right? My kids really just, yeah, I'm sure you all feel the same way. Everybody believes that their kids are perfect, that they've got the greatest kids on earth. But I have the greatest kids on earth, right? You guys are all in second place. I really do have the two greatest kids on earth. And, but you know what? We've all got something that we can be leaning on like that. Everybody, we don't spend a lot of time. Yeah. It was amazing. So I got emails and I'm trying to catch up, people. I really am, but they just keep coming in. It's great. But we're trying to catch up on the emails. But the emails come in and people talk about the holidays and about the pain of it, or they talk about, knowing January 1 is coming up and what quitting, whatever it is going to mean. And one was talking about smoking. One was talking about whatever. The point is, as we get into this holiday season, don't list all of the things in your head that are an issue, right? Don't list all of the reasons that you think this is going to fail. Don't list all of the things you're going to lose. Fear of loss. Remember this? We did the fear thing. Fear of loss, fear of process, or fear of outcome. What is dictating why you're not doing what you need to do? Because it's probably one of those three things. Is it fear of loss? Is it fear of process? Or is it fear of outcome? And more often than not, it's the fear of the loss. If I quit drinking, all my friends, we have this club we go to and we throw darts. And okay, what are you going to gain? Right? Between now and Christmas, quit thinking about all of the negative crap and spend a little bit of time concentrating on what you could gain if you quit doing X, Y, or Z. Right? Because we don't do that. We think about all the things we're going to lose. We think about how hard the process is going to be, right? And then we fear what the outcome. What if the outcome gets there and it's not as great as it's going to be? I got an idea. You know how to avoid that? Don't set any goals. Park your butt exactly where it is right now. Next year, 365 days from today, we can have this conversation again because I'll be here. You know how you know I'm telling the truth? Go back to the December 23rd and 4th from last year. Right? I was here. I was saying the same thing too. I was saying the same thing. And I'll be here next year. So will Spanx Calhoun, the whole team. We're all going to be here pulling. But you know what? Let's start thinking about how fantastic life is. What is your habit? Right? What's your habit? Talk to somebody on here who quit smoking. Calhoun, do you remember tasting food again for the first time? Nicotine in cigarettes versus nicotine in vape. When you smoke cigarettes, your taste buds go to hell in a hand basket fast. When you stop smoking and drawing in tar and nicotine, I remember going, holy hell, that's what that tastes like. Right? It really changes you. And, just walking around, right? Just doing the walk I do every day. My lungs feel different. They feel better. It's a big deal. But how do you know, right? How do you know? Hear that, Johnny? Yeah, how do you know? You don't know. You don't know until you quit. You don't know until you shove your chips into the center of the pot. You know the good news? So often we come up with these plans and we get a friend and we say, you know what? The two of us are going to quit, right? And on day 3, your friend calls you and goes, hey, how you doing? Good. Tough night last night, man. I didn't think I was going to get through it. Oh, I went out. Yeah, a friend of mine called me, man. I mean, I didn't get wasted. We did like 4 beers and some kamikaze shooters, but it wasn't anything, serious or whatever. And you're like, damn, man, real hard to keep going. Your sobriety partner bails on you. The lifeboat's going to be right here. It's going to be doing exactly what it does. I promise you. Start this New Year's resolution and get this thing rolling. You'll regret it if you don't. I promise you, you will regret it if you don't. All right. Now, before I go, I am going to be talking to Q again. I stopped my thought because of a comment, but Q said, "No, I can call you back. We're doing uniforms. I'll be working tomorrow too." I said, "You're working on Christmas Day, bro?" He said, "I am. Happy about it." I said, "How much are you getting paid?" He thinks he's going to make more than $35 a day working today and tomorrow. So he could probably make $70 in 2 days. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? You have no idea how much money that is in there. Like, that's off the chain kind of huge money. Merry Christmas and much love to you all. Thank you, Miss Sunrise Dawn. If I can get him on the phone while I'm doing tonight's live, I'm going to let him say hello to all of you. We tried to do that last New Year's Eve. And we couldn't hear his voice, but he could hear us. It was a really big deal. Question, Tommy, do you ever feel undeserving of the grace and forgiveness of your children? I've been clean 10 years and I still do sometimes. No, believe it or not, I don't. I did for a really long time, Amanda. I struggled with this so strong. You know when it stopped? Believe it or not? It stopped here on the boat. You would love to hear Q. Q has an amazing, I don't know how to describe it. He sounds measured in everything he says. He just sounds like someone that's smarter than I am. You'd like to hear it. He has a great voice. Yeah, I felt really undeserving of my children's forgiveness for a very, very long time. Not so much with my daughter. There was so much that was out of my control in that situation. I should leave it at that. I did not have a lot of control in that situation, but the guilt with Spanx was different, and it was palpable, and it tore me up for a really long time, and I didn't get over it until I did my interview with Mike on the channel. Sorry, Galani. Yeah, but I did my interview with him on the channel, and we were talking about his childhood, and it led to some questions. And he said, "I don't remember any of the stuff you're talking about, right? I don't remember any of the things you're talking about." He's like, "I remember having a great childhood." And I spent all of that time in prison, and I wasn't ever concentrating on anything good I did with my son, right? Like Pinewood derbies or teaching him to ski or all of the things that I did as a dad, because I did a lot of that. I didn't remember any of it. I didn't concentrate on it because the only thing I could remember was smashing the stairs with a sledgehammer to get a bag of dope from underneath it while he looked out the window, seeing his dad destroy a set of stairs for God only knows what reason, right? The stupid things like that are the stuff that I remember, or him seeing me let off in handcuffs, right? These are the kinds of things that stick in my mind. But that conversation that we had live led to a conversation off the air that took a really long time, where he just said, "You know what? No, my youth was great. It got ugly after I left." I mean, that really is kind of how it went down. Not because I was a star, by the way. It's just because that's kind of how it went down. But yes, I struggled really hard with that. Fortunately, I speak to my son a lot, and we have a really phenomenal relationship. But you know what we did? We always did. There was just a period of time that the drugs, almost ruined me. I love you too, man. He's literally, one of my two favorite people on earth, right? I'm in for your channels anytime. Well, thank you, Debbie. I got to be really honest. I look at your thumbnail, Debbie, and you know what? You look like you have 80s hair in that thumbnail. Like, that picture looks like it could have been taken in the parking lot of a Poison concert. And I got to tell you, I dig it. I'm an 80s guy, man. I want to see a picture of everybody in the parking lot of their hairband concerts. If you have a good hairband picture, yeah, I really want to see it. You know what? I'm going to try, and I do mean try. I'm going to try to get through this poem. And if I don't, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to hang up on you, right? Or I'll let Spanx come on and wave bye, and I'm just going to leave. But I'm going to try to get through this. It's very difficult for me because, Calhoun needs his filter. I need mine apparently too, huh? How am I doing? Idiot. Sometimes I'm too honest too. 2 summers ago at your friend's house, still rocking it. See, how about small bangs picks? Hell yes. Rock small bang picks too. You know what? I got a lot of acid washing pictures, and I had a lot of what filter, says Jen. Sorry, filter? I'm a late 80s and 90s rocker youth. GNR, LA Guns, and Faster Pussycat were my bands. LA Guns, huh? I'll be damned. LA Guns. That's Tommy Gunn, right? Tommy Gunn from LA Guns. Isn't that Tommy Gunn? Okay. Are you ready, people? So, I can tell you this. This was written by a lady. If I get permission from the lady, I love big hair and I cannot lie. Well played, Debbie. Well played, Debbie. Tracy Gunn. Thank you, Laura. Tracy Gunn. It's a Tommy Gunn, didn't I? Tracy Gunn. So, Stay Spirit says, we are ready. I was all Duran Duran and my hair was spiked as John Taylor. Me. Hey, Sherry. Good to see you. 'Twas the night before Christmas. A boat set to sail. Captain Tommy's lifeboat, where hope would prevail. Not on the sea, but in the hearts torn apart. Seeking lost souls, a compassionate start. The crew, a team united as one, guiding lost spirits neath the moon and the sun. Not through water, but through troubled minds, their mission salvation for those left behind. With empathy's compass and kindness as oars, Captain Tommy led to uncharted shores. Through struggles and storms, they steered with such care, rescuing those in the lost depths of despair. A distress call had echoed, a plea to be heard. I'm not going to get this. I'm sorry. I'm going to post it. Thank you. If you wrote that or you wrote one of the other ones, I'm going to post these things. I'll get them put up. I'm not going to. I really wanted to get through it. I'm not going to. It's really long too. But thank you. It's I'll get it typed up and I'll get it put on a community tab. I promise you. You guys are great. Knock it off. You could just say, well done or something, eh? But I appreciate all that you do. And I'm going to get, I'll get those up. I promise you. And there'll be more boat today and there'll be more boat tomorrow. All right. We're going to get through this. It's actually a beautiful, I'll get it put up. I promise. Thanks everybody. Oh, I almost forgot a bunch of stuff. Look at me. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. And this little angel covering her head with her paw. Can you see that? Aw, she is so perfect. She really is just the most perfect cat. She's got one paw over her nose and the other one is up this way. And a tail curled right up. Do you know she has one front paw is black, one front paw is brown, one black back paw is black, and one black back paw is brown. She's just the cutest animal in the world. All right. I love you all. I really do. I am Captain Tommy. On the other side of the glass, my pride and joy. There he is. Spanx Calhoun. I love you. Balake, good to see you. I love you, Calhoun. I'll talk to you shortly. All right, everybody. I'm Captain Tommy. Hey, Shannon, we're saving the Merry Christmases, right? We're going to go. We'll see you all soon. That's what we're going with. The Merry Christmases, we're all going to scream it tomorrow at the same time and try to bum out everybody on YouTube. We might even do some Christmas caroling. What do you think of that? Laura Estrada, have a great day. Somebody else I was missing who said they were really bummed out today, and I'm forgetting who it was. If you're bummed out today, get back here. Come back. Connection, people. Don't let anybody be bummed out today, please. And if you're on a list of people that I'm supposed to be contacting, I'm not blowing you off. I promise you. You cannot imagine. Mikhail, good to have you here. Merry Christmas. You cannot imagine how far behind I am. Just plain and simple. I'm that far behind, and I'm not going to, no one's going to fall between the cracks. If I haven't got to you, it's because I haven't got to you. Hang tight. I promise. All right. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. What do you say, squirrel? He's a good kitty. Nothing? I was hoping for a little chirp. He's a good kitty.